I'm going to upload this. It'll be in your Schoology folder for the research project. I'll call it something like introduction, conclusion, intro, conclusion, something like that. It's just a single page. I created my own graphics here so that it looks like a piece of notebook paper because students used to write these out on sheets of notebook paper before we had the Chromebooks. So I'm showing you Roman numeral 1 here, and this is going to be your hook, your what we call a bridge statement that's going to connect your hook to your thesis. Here's the thesis, and then Roman numeral 5. So we're skipping the main points and we're going right to 5 so that you can see what the conclusion looks like. The thesis statement is three-pronged, but it's set up as a compound complex sentence. Because of the legacy of fighting, because of this legacy of fighting for the cause of civil rights, Martin Luther King Jr. will be honored in the nation's capital with a memorial that will open in 2009. And the three main points there are his history of fighting for civil rights, the fact that he's honored with a memorial, and then the fact that the memorial is opening in 2009. So embedded within that thesis are the three main points. The hook is a quote. It is a piece of the I Have a Dream speech, a relatively lengthy one, but I hope you see the effectiveness of using a quote like this. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream that my four little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. 35 years after Martin Luther King Jr. proclaimed his dream to 250,000 protesters on the National Mall, his speech is remembered as one of the most important speeches in history. However notable, his speech was only one small part of a career spent in a tireless effort to bring back equality to Americans of African descent, especially those in the South. Because of this legacy of fighting for the cause of civil rights, Martin Luther King Jr. will be honored in the nation's capital with a memorial that will open in 2009. So we had the I Have a Dream excerpt. We had the thesis already. As the expert, as the person who researched this, I understood the connection between I Have a Dream and between what my thesis was saying. So this bridge statement here is how I help to explain to my audience how the hook is connected to the thesis. It provides a smooth transition, and you will see here that I had two relatively lengthy sentences to get that done. So those are the elements of the introduction, the hook and the thesis connected by that connective tissue or that connecting statement. What you're going to see then in the conclusion is the inverse. Whatever you see here happening last in the intro is going to be what happens first in the conclusion. This is a thesis that prepares the reader for the three main points in order. This should be a summary of the three main points in order. This was the I Have a Dream speech. This should at the very least be a reference to something from the I Have a Dream speech, and again, a piece of connective tissue to get us from one to the other. So let's see how the conclusion reads. Martin Luther King Jr. spent his life fighting so that American blacks could be treated as equals. He gave his life for that cause. Even though it has taken 4 decades, America now looks forward to the opening of the King Memorial on the National Mall. By design, King's statue will stand halfway between two presidential memorials, one dedicated to the man who wrote All Men Are Created Equal, and the other to the man who freed the slaves. The creation of this new memorial on the National Mall may mean that finally we have become a nation where citizens really aren't judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I hope that provides a good illustration for you of how the introduction provides a good lead into the body of the paper, and then the conclusion, while shorter, does the exact same thing in reverse.